lot of fetch lands, but he is supplementing that with a bunch of Searing Blazes in the sideboard. That's a pretty good setup to have against a Deathrite Shaman Stoneforge Mystic deck, but you are at the mercy of Batterskull coming into play very quickly, of course, and True Name Nemesis is especially a good thing to put equipment on.
Yeah. You mentioned the cards that Searing Blood can kill. Deathrite Shaman, Stoneforge Mystic, Snapcaster Mage here as well, so a lot of targets here for Reese, who's going to immediately sacrifice a Arid Mesa, go get a Mountain. And we're going to see Burn do battle against Esper Deathblade here, and chances are whoever wins this match is going to be able to draw into the elimination rounds.
My experience in this matchup, it is close, slightly favorable for Burn. But a lot of it depends on what's going on specifically in the game. You can't really beat their best draws. Stoneforge Mystic plus Force of Will is really hard to beat, but a lot of their normal draws you're pretty competitive against.
We're going right upstairs. Bang.
Yep.
This is my favorite. One of my favorite parts about this Burn deck in Legacy is like, there's always that uneasiness when you're like sitting down against the opponent. It's like, okay, they look at your opening hand, all that stuff. Okay, if they're on this, okay, this works. They're on this, they're on this, and the Burn deck is just like, boom, right now. This is what I'm doing.
Here's some sand in your eyes.
Yeah, just not messing around at any point. It's very clear what I'm up to, and that's trying to take you from 20 to 0 real fast. As Wagstaff is going to sacrifice his Marsh Flats.
Going to play one way. So, yeah, the opening hands that are really bad for Burn here are Stoneforge Mystic plus Force of Will.
Yep.
Those draws are really hard to beat. Force of Will is pretty bad besides, but you can end the game so quickly with a Batterskull that opening is really hard to beat.
How much do you care about Deathrite Shaman?
You care about it a medium amount. Definitely if you have Searing Blood, of course that's a juicy target.
Yep.
But I think that if there's no creatures in the graveyard, you're likely to just let it go.
Okay.
I'm really intrigued by the addition of Searing Blood. It's something that I've contemplated myself. I think that you want to have a lot of Searing Bloods and Searing Blazes throughout your 75, because against decks like Elves and Goblins, it's insane to be able to board into a lot of those. I think overall I would prefer for the spell not to be fizzled.
Oh boy. Well, Searing Blood is here. 2 to that, 3 to you. Hello.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you must just... That's just a card made for you, my friend. I know every time I'm in the hotel room and you Searing Blood a Pack Rat, you are really happy and pleased with yourself. See what we have here from Evan.
Have you ever seen the games where I have 2 and I let them activate the Pack Rat ones? So there's 2 creatures in play from... Yeah.
Haven't quite seen that yet. I'd love to be a part of that. We got a brainstorm here from Evan. He is under the gun. In quite a bad way.
Literally and figuratively.
Yes, yes. He's going to have to put 2 cards back to that brainstorm. If he wants to make it a perfect brainstorm, he can, because he does have a fetch land, but you have to go down to 12. 12 is a good increment to be at when you're playing against Burn.
We do deal 3 a lot, so
we?
the multiple...
We?
Yeah, we.
I guess. I can't really argue that.
Any illusion of journalistic neutralism is just out the door right Neutrality, rather, it's just out the door right now. That's not happening.
We are the Burn team.
Mm-hmm. That Searing Blood was nice.
Yeah, sure was. As you see a brainstorm going to resolve there. See a Flooded Strand for Evan. I'm going to put that into play. Pass the turn back over to Reese. Take a draw. Looks like it may have been a Price of Progress. Not too sure, but it looks like we're going to see a Chain Lightning just going. We're going upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
How about another one? Down to 7.
I like targeting Evan a lot here.
Yeah, that's
good play.
Solid fundamentals by Reese.
Not Reese's first tournament.
Yep.
Or actually, it could be. And he'd still probably get there.
Wonder what the one loss was to. There are definitely some difficult matchups for Burn out there right now.
For sure.
Yeah. there's some rough road ahead for Burn. But I mean,
Robert floating around the room with his Reanimator deck?
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
Iona's pretty bad.
The Gristlebrand, I guess, is okay against you, too.
Well, you can beat that card sometimes with Sulfuric Vortex. But Iona is definitely game over.
Yes. Yes. Evan going to go down to 6 here.
I have beaten Gristlebrand. I have never beaten Iona.
You've actually beaten Gristlebrand? Wow.
Yeah.
I guess
Show and tell, put in a Vortex, or put in Snaring Bridge in, and,
just dome him a bunch.
Yeah.
All right.
Not saying it's easy. I've lost more than I've won, but I have won sometimes.
I mean, you just see the Forcible in Evan's hand here. That's going to be pretty important, I think.
Yeah, but he does have to get something going.
Yeah, that's the big key. And Reese didn't play land last turn, so you have to believe he's got 2 spells in his hand.
Mm-hmm. Especially since he has some incentive to play around days. If he had a land, he would almost certainly cast it.
Let's see what we have here. A Stoneforge Mystic. That can go search for the mighty Batterskull.
This is the recipe that that Evan needs to rally here. Stoneforge Mystic, he has Forcible to defend himself. And you see him tapping the mana that way. This way, he has the opportunity to wasteland his own land in response in case Reese has Price of Progress.
You see Reese has Lightning Bolt, Price of Progress, and a Fire Blast. Looks like this is going to be a 6. Okay, it's not a Lightning Bolt, it's actually a Rift Bolt, excuse me. So going to suspend that.
I like watching Reese's deck here. It looks like someone bought himself some Fire and Lightning pre-con decks.
Yes. A very nice take on the Burn deck.
The gateway to Legacy.
Yeah. Not too afraid to get his burn spells on. True Nemesis the draw here. Better finish him quick, though. A 1 hit from Batterskull undoes basically,
It's
two
game
burn spells.
It's game over if it hits once. You're not going to catch back up. Now, Reese, it looks like he has the tools to go off through a Forcible next turn, but we will find out.
All right, how about a Rift Bolt going upstairs? Ooh, Evan going to choose to Forcible this with Chase, okay?
That makes him fall to 2, so Price of Progress is still lethal.
Yep. And there is the pop. Assuming that it does resolve.
Now, is there some way for him to survive this? He can plow his own Stoneforge Mystic and wasteland himself? Is there a way for him to keep Stoneforge Mystic and a white source of mana? No, he can't cast Snapcaster because that taps him too low. So he can wasteland his own land and plow his Stoneforge Mystic and go to 1.
Wasteland his own land, but then Batterskull doesn't get to come in.
Correct. Yeah, he can't do everything.
Yep.
He can survive this turn. Where he goes from here is unclear. And you can see Evan's trying to find some way. Is there a way to get Batterskull to play, or is there a way for me to keep Stoneforge Mystic on all of this?
Yeah, the
because
answer
then he has
looks
a
like
shot,
no.
but it's. I don't think he can do it.
If he plays, nope. Because if he plays Snapcaster and then swords it,
He takes 6 from the price.
He goes up to 4 and then dies.
Right.
So maybe his plan here is to cast Snapcaster Mage, brainstorm, and try to hit Force.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. This is.
It's a strategy.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like he found what he's looking for, and that's going to do it. So Reese Gunn is going to defeat Evan Wagstaff in game number 1 here. Burn, baby. Epic game against Esper Deathblade.
Evan did play to an out there. I think that his play is better. I forgot the Brainstorm was in the graveyard. I think that play that he had gave him a much better shot of winning because he did have Jitte in hand. So if he's able to force there, go to 1, plays a land, Jitte equip, then all of a sudden he's actually out in front.
Sure.
So that was good play there by Evan, but wasn't able to find the Forcible.
Sideboards here. We'll take a look at Evan's first. 3 Surgical Extraction, 2 Meddling Mage, 2 Flusterstorm, 2 copies of Zealous Persecution, a Venser, a Lingering Souls, a Vindicate, a Sword of Fire and Ice, a Disenchant, and a Grafdigger's Cage. Outside of Flusterstorm, I'm not really excited about anything here. Would you be scared of any of this stuff from Burn?
Well, most lists will have Sulfuric Vortex they're going to be bringing in against you. I have occasionally sideboarded Curse Scroll for this sort of matchup, which Disenchant is good against, although Curse Scroll is definitely uncommon in a burn sideboard. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that Reese brings in Ensnaring Bridge as well. So I think the one Disenchant, given its high upside, especially against Sulfuric Vortex, and the fact that Reese might be bringing in other targets as well, I think it would come in here.
And for the burn side of things,
a Grim Lavamancer, he has 2 in the main deck, he can side up to a 3rd. 3 Fairy Macabres, 2 Smash to Smithereens, 3 Searing Blaze, 3 Ensnaring Bridge, 3 Red Elemental Blast. I like the Searing Blazes a lot. There's, of course, Stoneforge Mystic, Snapcaster Mage, Deathrite Shaman, a lot of targets alongside the Searing Bloods. The 3 Smash to Smithereens, great answers to the equipment cards. That's the thing you're most concerned about here. I can see an argument for bringing in another Grim Lavamancer because, Evan's removal is a little bit taxed, and Lavamancer, again, it does pinch a lot of the threats that Evan's trying to get online. Stoneforge Mystics, Snapcaster Mage, Deathrite Shaman, and so forth. I don't think he wants a Red Elemental Blast in this matchup. I understand that Evan does have some blue cards, but I think you want that more for combo decks. It's really hard to win the game fighting them over cards like Jace the Mind Sculptor and Brainstorm if you're trying to assemble 20 with your burn spells. So Red Elemental Blast does not come in my experience, against every blue deck, just the ones that are trying to kill you really fast.
Well, first game was pretty easy for Reese. He was able to kill Evan just in time, but he got off to a really nice start and a really good draw there.
Yes.
So
And he was able to beat Stoneforge Mystic and Force of Will, though if Evan had the Stoneforge Mystic on turn 2, he probably would have won the game pretty easily.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
it's just that opening is just too fast.
Yep.
Usually you can kill a Stoneforge Mystic, but it's hard to kill Stoneforge Mystic in time through a Force of Will, because sometimes it's your entire turn trying to kill a Stoneforge Mystic.
Playing Burn, it just feels kind of, I guess, free and easy. Just, you know what? I'm just going to Lightning Bolt you a bunch. How do you like it?
The only matchups that are really challenging to play in my experiences are the ones where they have soft permission, the Daze Spell Pierce matchups. Because how you want to play those games, play around certain things and against their permission, that's complicated. Against the decks that are either trying to kill you super fast or they're just playing something like Elves or Death and Taxes where you're not really worried about counterspells, the games are generally speaking pretty straightforward.
Seems like some fun.
It is fun.
I've almost played this deck in multiple tournaments, actually. I've played in some Legacy. I've been preparing for some Legacy tournaments, where I was just kind of panicking on what to play, and then I know I've contacted you a couple times about, is Burn good? And you're just like, well, duh.
I've played it in, I want to say, 2 Grand Prix and about 4 Legacy Opens and an Invitational.
Okay.
Something along those
Yeah,
lines.
you've let some people up. Best
Yeah.
finish?
Top 4 of a Legacy Open, top 8 of a Legacy Open, top 32 of a Grand Prix.
Okay. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad with the old Fire Blast and friends.
And I was 9-1 at Grand Prix Denver before going 1-4 to finish out the tournament.
For the rails.
They came off.
Came off the rails.
That's where I got to Guerrilla Tactics Josh Ravitz on camera.
Oh, boy.
That was sweet.
Hello.
And then he top forward, and I didn't win another match. But that moment was really sweet.
I'm assuming a Liliana was involved?
Him.
Oh, ooh. Random discard. I don't think so. This is a Flooded Strand. That's going to search up a non-basic. It's an Underground Sea, and that's a Death Red Shaman.
There's a lot that I like going on with Reese's list. I've never really liked playing a second color just because of what it opens up to it opens you up to Wasteland. Sometimes your Price of Progresses or draws instead of wins and so forth. But Deathrite Shaman's a very attractive card.
Quite the powerful one here. Reese going to go get a mountain off that Scalding Tarn. Wants to make sure no Wasteland shenanigans thus far.
And with a Taiga in the deck, it's not inconceivable that he could sideboard a card like Destructive Revelry, which will give him some game against Leyline of Sanctity, for example. And you can still bring it in all the same spots that you bring in Smash the Smithereens.
Forgot Destructive Revelry was a card. There's a Rift Bolt. Going to go on
Oh.
suspend. Every burn spell just stays on your radar. I know that.
I know them all.
Yep.
And Evan has brought in the Disenchant.
Scared of Surfeited Vortex, obviously.
Yeah.
But makes sense. I mean, that card's great against him. Rift Bolt going to come off. We're going upstairs. Doesn't even care about Deathrite Shaman.
He also might just have a lot of Searing Bloods and Searing Blazes. He may not have the luxury of being able to use a removal spell or a burn spell on Deathrite Shaman because he needs to save. He needs to leave the Deathrite Shaman in play to target with a Searing Bloods or Searing Blaze down the line.
Whereas it looks like he's a little bit land heavy this game. He does have a Sulfuric Vortex in his hand along with the Fire Blast, but it just looks like he might be a little heavy on lands. Evan going to draw a card here.
Evan's got to be pretty happy with how the game's going so far. He has a Force of Will, which is a lot of protection against getting killed fast. He has a Disenchant, which gives him an ounce of Sulfuric Vortex. So he's very well set up. If he draws one of his Haymakers, especially Stoneforge Mystic, even True Name Nemesis would be a very good clock in this spot.
Mm-hmm. Looks like Evan just going to pass the turn back. Here's a Lightning Bolt. We're going upstairs with that as well. Reese going to sacrifice that Scalding Tarn, go get a Badlands.
But definitely the ability to cap out on Searing Bloods and Searing Blazes if you
Really
want to.
nice.
That's a really big addition for this deck.
Yeah.
Because your matchups like Elves and Merfolk and Goblins can be a little harrowing at times, but when you're able to just go into a million Searing Bloods and Searing Blazes, those matchups get a lot better.
Another land draw on there for Reese. Going to play a Mountain. He's got the Vortex at the ready. He's going to drop that down, but we do know that Wagstaff does have a Disenchant in his hand.
Now I would expect him to definitely use Disenchant here.
That's looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. Disenchant will take care of the Sulfuric Vortex, the powerful rare from Scourge, as Wagstaff is going to untap and take a draw. Now again, Evan could have played a land. He's been holding a land for a little while, but he's a little bit scared of, it looks like, Price of Progress.
He's being very disciplined. I mean, the way he's playing out his lands here, I think he's got a good understanding of what he needs to do. He has no basics to fetch in his list.
Another land here for Reese.
Flooding out a little bit, certainly.
Yeah. The creatures, they obviously get worse as we go over the course of the game. And Goblin Guy great on turn 1, not so great on turn 5. Reese going to just play a Wooded Foothills past the turn back. Let's see what Wagstaff wants to do. Again, he's looking at 2 Force of Wills and I believe a Swords to Plowshares.
Yep. I mean, I think for the time being, he just needs to be pressuring Reese a little bit with these Deathrite Shamans and hope that he finds one of his haymakers. The game's gotten to a point even now where something like Jason the Mind Sculptor is really powerful.
That's true.
Not always good, but the board's stable enough. And
Given
Evan's,
the way this game is going, it's not bad.
and Evan's still clutching onto that Force of Will, so he's got insurance in case he draws any of his big draws.
Gonna go for the Price of Progress right now.
And this is what I alluded to before, the issue with adding a second color to the deck. He's in a racing situation now against these Deathrite Shamans, and taking 4 points of damage is no small amount.
Yeah, there's like a real chance here that Evan would be perfectly fine with this resolving.
I don't know.
I go down to 6, you go down to 10, but I've got 2 Deathrite Shamans and plenty of fodder.
I think that Evan is favored the longer the game goes on. I think it's worth fighting over this.
Okay. That's what's going to happen. Force Will moving. Force Will takes care of that. Deathrite Shaman number 3 looks like it was drawn.
There's these moments of just a visceral gut check of, imagine that I lose this game. What happened? And the answer is probably, I let that Price of Progress resolve. I got a little too fancy. Just, you're going to have no end of fodder here with these Deathrite Shamans. You're going to be able to deal a lot of damage. Just don't take 6 for no reason.
Attack for 1 there. Gonna put Reese down to 13. Another Deathrite Shaman. Reese gonna sacrifice his Wooded Foothills. Trying to get some lands out of that deck.
Yeah, only 2 basic mountains in the list alongside 3 bad lands and a taiga, and then a bunch of fetch lands. He has Grim Lavamancer. He also has Searing Blaze in the sideboard, so he's playing 14 fetches.
Okay, that's a lot of those.
That is a lot.
He does not want to draw very many lands, that's for sure. Reese take a draw here. Looks like he picked up a Fire Blast. I already had one of those. Not sure if he picked up another one or not. Maybe considering his options here.
Yeah, I think he wants to wait as long as he can to cast his spells and try to go off in one turn. Because every spell that he just sort of incrementally casts is another thing that Evan gets to remove with Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah. He'd rather those Deathrite Shamans turning sideways in the red zone instead of being active with that ability.
Yeah, ideally he gets to a spot where, you know, there's no more spells left in either graveyard, and Evan attacks with the Deathrite Shamans, then he can start chaining things together.
Looks like a Fire Blast. Oh, there's a Price of Progress.
There's the combo.
Yep. You saw he floated 2 red with the lands that he Fire Blasted with. Puts you down to 1. Another burn spell over there? Nope, just Scalding Tarn past the turn back. He's got 1 turn or 2 turns to draw a burn spell.
He has, so there's a Disenchanted Force of Will and a Fire Blast.
He's got 1 turn.
There's Meddling Mage. He also has a Swords to Plowshares here.
Yeah.
So, but there's no burn spell that he can really survive here, even with the Plow. The Plow does give him assurance against Searing Blood. He can fizzle a Searing Blood, so that's a big deal.
I can see what can happen here because Reese is at 10. 1 Deathrite Shaman comes in the red zone. That puts Reese down to 9. 2 activations puts him down to 5. You can remove the Force of Will and the Disenchant, and then the same thing the next turn.
Yes.
So
the question is it better for him to cast Meddling Mage or not? That's what he's playing around right now.
yeah, I mean, what do you name? You know?
I mean, he's still got 4 copies of Lightning Bolt in the deck, probably. I don't know.
He's got 4 copies of a lot of cards. It's just really, really hard. I think you have this clear pathway of the 2-turn clock of attack with Deathrite Shaman, activate the other 2, and the necessary mana to do that while still being able to hold up Swords to Plowshares for Searing Blood. I don't think Meddling Mage adds anything to this.
I think not casting the Meddling Mage means that you lose to Sulfuric Vortex.
Okay.
Because you die on the upkeep and Swords to Plowshares no longer saves you.
Okay. Well, we'll see what Chris Pahula does name.
I mean, it's a roll of the dice. There's a lot of things that could be right now, you know?
I mean, if he's playing Meddling Mage and it's still a 2-turn clock, then I'm fine with this play. He's going to name Chain Lightning.
Sure. That's, you know, there's a lot of different things you can name.
That's the only reason I like the meddling mage plays, because there's not a clear name here.
Well, there's not going to be a clear name, but you are reducing some percentage chance that he draws literally that card this turn, which you can't beat.
Sure.
And he still has him on a turn 2 clock, right? So he Death Rights him down to 7 now. Meddling Mage is 5, and then the Death Rights can attack and activate. So it's still lethal.
Okay, if it's still lethal, then I'm fine with it. Because it's still a 2-turn clock. I wonder if the fetch land changed anything.
Makes the mana now, and that's 5, and now.
Yeah, and then he's just got a lethal attack the next turn.
Yep. Unless Reese has drawn something and he's slow rolling, but doesn't appear to be the case.
Does not appear to be the case, yeah. Wagstaff just going to make sure that he's got this one locked up here, sitting at a very, very low 1 life.
There's no way that Reese's hand here is anything other than a land, because he would have just cast it when you were tapped out, so.
Could be doing it for the camera.
This would be quite the slow roll.
Three. Push down to 2. A rather safe attack here. Activate the Death Ride Shaman. In response, he can activate the other one. Yep, that's going to do it.
Yep, Reese flooded out pretty badly there and was a spell short.
If that were a sudden shock, though,
Oh, yeah.
it would have been a moment for the ages.
Oh, yeah. That's how you do it.
That's all I can say about that. But for Reese,
During my more aggressive days, I had some nice sudden shock slow rolls.
aggressive in quotes.
Yeah. I mean aggressive personality-wise.
Yeah. Going to game 3 here, for Reese being on the play has probably got to be a big deal here.
Yes, definitely.
Does seem like a pretty good matchup for Burn, actually.
It's overall positive. They have some tools. Their absolute best draws are hard to beat, but if it's your 50th percentile draw against their 50th percentile draw, I think you're a favorite. Evan has played very well, to his credit. He definitely knows the cards he's playing around.
Just think, we could have Burn in the elimination rounds against Reanimator. Whew.
Please no. Reese at least has some sideboard cards for Reanimator. He's got 3 Fairy Macabres and 3 Ensnaring Breaches. He's got some game.
Yeah, it's got some game, actually. Got to hope for the best. That's really all you can do there. Reese ready to go, as is Evan Wagstaff. Game 3 for all the marbles. As these two, whichever one does win this third game, likely able to draw in the next round.
And here we go.
Again, Gunn will be on the play first. Flooded out last game, had a beautiful draw in game number 1. We'll see what happens in this third one. He's happy enough. Wagstaff going to take a mulligan. Burn, obviously a deck with a lot of redundant cards. Seems like a deck that does not mulligan well.
No, you had to keep. You had to keep any functional hand.
Yeah, your hand has to be pretty bad to mulligan, right?
Yeah, it's something like
bad.
1 land, multiple Fire Blasts, or 5 lands, or it has to be those kind of hands.
Yeah, it has to be just absolutely atrocious.
You are a Storm deck spread over many turns.
Let's see what Wagstaff can find on 6 cards here. Again, he'll be on the draw. Got some people that are very happy about Reese Gunn and you holding it down for Burn.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of viewers pretty happy about the old Burn strategy.
And Reese with a new take. Incorporating some new cards here, and it's not the same 60 that we've seen for a long time now.
Deathrite Shaman to begin. See Force of Will ×2 in Wagstaff's hand.
Doesn't want to fight over the Deathrite. Most likely, this means that Swords to Plowshares is coming. That's always a dilemma I've had when I've try to sideboard against Esper Deathblade decks? Are you supposed to try to cut all of your creatures all together and strand their plows? Or are you supposed to try to overload their removal? Because when you have exactly one creature and they have exactly one removal spell, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. There's a swords. Goodbye, Deathrite Shaman.
So Evan now with a hand of 2 forces, a Wasteland, a Pierce.
Again, as you mentioned, Wasteland, a card that's typically off against this deck. Reese going to go get a basic mountain here. See what he's got here. Quickly searched up a land.
The old Goblin Guide.
Wonder if we see a Force of Will here.
I understand Evan's mulliganing, and he's thinking maybe I want to get some lands here, but with no creature removal spell, this guide represents a lot of damage.
Trigger. Underground Sea to the grip. That'll help undo some of this mulligan work. There's a Chain Lightning. We're going upstairs. Wagstaff going to go down to 14 now. Evan will take his turn. Again, does have that Wasteland. You see the 2 copies of Force of Will. We know about the Underground Sea. Also a Deathrite Shaman hanging out over there. That's going to join the party. Got the Spell Pierce at the ready. Kick it back over to Gunn. Gunn will take a draw. Another copy of Searing Blood. Gonna make an attempt. Spell Pierce pretty good here, though.
This is a really good Spell Pierce target.
Yeah. And in comes the Goblin Guide. Trigger. Brainstorm.
As a rule there, I think that Reese is better served just attacking first and seeing what kind of response it is. Because it's possible that Evan allows the trigger to resolve and then plows or something, and then your Searing Blood's much more likely to resolve.
Brainstorm here from Wagstaff. Chase the Mind Sculptor among the cards drawn. I think it was SCGCIN hanging out there as well, I believe.
And a Batter Skull, too.
Wow. Batter Skull not at its best in this situation, but the GT is not bad.
Evan's not that far away from being able to cast. I mean, he's got
That's
the
true.
necessary mana. He's got 2 more Wastelands, along his 2 lands in play and his Deathrite Shaman. So, not out of the question.
So now he's going to go sculpting and figure out what to do. 2 cards back.
I mean, now with Wasteland in hand, it's not unreasonable for him to just cast Jite here, say go, protect his Deathrite Shaman from what is likely to be 1 removal spell, put Jite on an attack. It's a risky line. There's some, but even if you trade your Deathrite with 2 removal spells, you're not unhappy about that.
Oh, there's the weapon of choice. You see Force of Will ×2 and Jace the Mind Sculptor over there. So Wagstaff doing pretty good here on this mulligan of 6.
Yeah, this is really solid.
Yeah. And now, coming on in. No interest in blocking. Gunn gonna untap. He's going to take a draw. You see it's a copy of a Taiga. That's another Searing Blood. You're going to start by attacking. Let's see that top card. There's a Wasteland. Obviously, Wagstaff knew that was going to happen, so he gets to draw that card. There's Taiga. This is a Searing Blood. Got a feeling this isn't going to resolve. Force. Removing Force. Interested in keeping Jace.
Yep.
And you see Gunn's hand right now. He's got a Fire Blast and a Price of Progress. Uh-oh.
So he may be in a position to survive a Jite hit if that's the case.
He's doing the math. Well, I think he actually has the Fire Blast of Deathrite Shaman. Yeah, I don't think he wants to, but the fact that he knows that Wagstaff has another copy of Wasteland in his hand, he could just equip the Jite with the 2 blue lands and leave up the 2 Wastelands, and the Price of Progress is effectively dead.
Yes.
Now we can see Wagstaff actually just drop down Jace. That's not so bad at all. However, if Reese were to draw a land, yikes.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do with this Jace, theoretically.
He is going to drop down Jace, so if Reese going to draw us a land, it's basically nighty-night time. Now he's decided if he wants to Brainstorm or Fate Seal.
And who does he want to Fate Seal if he wants to Fate Seal?
Yep.
And it's not even out of the question to unsummon here.
Yep.
I mean, there's a... All 3 modes of Jace are live right now.
How do you use this Mind Sculptor? Wow. He's going to go brainstorming. He has found the necessary land for Batterskull next turn. But if Reese Gunn is able to draw a land, he can cast Price of Progress. It will deal 8. Goblin Guide will deal the last 2.
And I think if he gets the next turn, what's most likely to happen is Evan will instead go Meddling Mage, leave up 2 Wastelands.
In for 2. Trigger.
Shows the Tundra.
Was it a land for Gunn? I don't think it was. He just has to pass the turn back with the Price of Progress in his hand.
I mean, there's a couple plays that Evan can do here. He can just tap out for Batterskull. He can also play Meddling Mage, name Price of Progress, and put Jitte on.
Gonna go Fate Sealing. Gonna leave that card on top. Makes you wonder what it is. Here's Batterskull. This is risky. You wonder if he left the land on top.
There's no way he left. I mean, he must have left an uncastable card on top of the deck there. Giving him a land here when he's not doing anything is just too risky.
Take a draw. Definitely not a land. It would have come down by now. The Goblin Guide's back on defense. Wagstaff with a Wasteland.
And that third Wasteland definitely shuts the door, as now Evan has insurance for the remainder of the game against Price of Progress.
Mm-hmm.
You can even put Jitte on Batterskull for the full rubbins.
He's got to be very careful how he taps, of course. This is going to go there. Attack. If this connects, it's basically over. It looks like it just did. Wagstaff's going to go up to 11. 2 counters on the Jitte. That's effectively 15 life. And hate to call a game before it's actually over, but I don't think there's any coming back from this one.
Burn decks are not that robust against this sort of setup here.
Price of Progress name with Chris Pakula there. Gunn got oh so close. He had outs. Well, it looks like he's going to come up a little bit short, and by the end of it, it's going to look like a lot bit short.
Yeah. But there's so many plays to go back to, you know. Was Reese supposed to play Goblin Guide instead of Deathrite Shaman on the first turn of the game?
Yeah.
What kind of shift does that represent?
There's another copy of Goblin Guide.
And instead of casting the Chain Lightning on the second turn, what if he just left it?
Yep.
You know, then he doesn't have to Fire Blast. I don't know. A lot of permutations for the way his turns can play out. For as linear of a strategy as it appears, a lot of room for decision points there.
The Mind Sculptor is going to go a Fate Sealing. That card's going to stay on top. In comes Meddling Mage and Friends. Looks like we're going to see a double block here. I'm just going to say pump up the jam. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Meddling Mage will trade with a Goblin Guide. At this point, Price of Progress doesn't matter anymore. Just try to clear things out of the way. Hopefully, Wagstaff doesn't forget his Jitte counters, but it looks like he may have at this point, as that is a trigger, and it is his to remember. But that's okay. Trinity Nemesis is in the house. Third Wasteland makes sure the Price of Progress, which wasn't an out now anyway, isn't. Gunn will draw a card. And I think in just a moment, my friends, we're going to see Evan Wagstaff move on to 7-1. Defeats Reese Gunn 2-1. Esper Deathblade moving on, and it's pretty likely we'll see that deck in the elimination rounds, not the first time.
Yep, probably an intentional draw going. Good run for Reese here. Definitely a different take on the burn strategy. I do like having a lot of